Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, an entitled idiot lies about being a veteran to get free food. I embarrass him in front of everyone. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. This happened on Sunday afternoon. It was Remembrance Sunday. Everyone was gathered at the cenotaph in Westminster to pay their respects to those who gave their lives in service of their country. Me and my dad were standing in the crowd. We were both wearing dark suits. My dad had his war medals pinned to his chest. I had my granddad's Victoria Cross medal in my pocket as I wanted to have a part of him with us while we paid our respects. After what was a very emotional ceremony for my dad, who had reconnected with some old soldier friends, we headed to Starbucks for some lunch. We arrived and noticed that there was a long table at the end that was occupied by current members and veterans of all the different armed forces. We placed our order for 2 coffees and 2 sandwiches and a slice of cake. It came to around £11. As I was opening up Apple Pay on my phone, the barista noticed my police warrant card hanging from my suit pocket and my dad's medals. He smiled at us and said, "That will be exactly £0. It's on the house for both of you. It will be ready shortly." We thanked him and moved to the end of the counter to wait for our lunch. My dad starts talking to some other veterans when I see a man, probably in his late 30s, shouting at the barista. A little girl is behind him sobbing. He is being so loud everyone can hear exactly what he is saying. ED: "What do you mean I have to pay? You gave those 2 their food for free. You did the same for that group before them. I need it for free. What makes them so special? My daughter is hungry and I've left my wallet in my car." Barista: "If you're a member of the armed forces or emergency services, then I can give it to you for free today, but I need to see ID. ED: "Yeah, of course. I'm a soldier. I'm in the army. Now, can I have my free food?" Barista: "Really? What regiment? Where's your MOD 90 or veterans card?" For those who don't know, MOD 90 is UK military ID. ED: My what?" Barista: "If you're a soldier, then you would know instantly what that is, and you should have it on you at all times. Also, your haircut is crap and totally not regulation. Finally, no one as fat as you would be allowed to join the army. You would not last 1 day at training. You would bust a gut just walking up the stairs." ED: "How dare you? You don't know anything about being a soldier. I wanna see your manager, now." Barista: "I'm an army reservist. Here's my ID. I think I know exactly what I'm talking about." He pulls out his ID from his wallet and holds it up before putting it back. "Now to pay, will that be card, cash or Starbucks card?" ED goes really pale and looks embarrassed. He dragged his daughter out without saying another word. I lean over the counter and extend my hand to the barista and shake it. Me: "Mate, that was epic. You totally owned that wanker. Good job." Barista: "Yeah, it just makes me angry that people actually stoop to that level. He deserves to go to hell." We continued to have a chat until another customer walked in the door. Me and my dad collected our food and sat down at a table. As today is Remembrance Day, I ask that those who read this just take a moment to remember the sacrifices that people made to make this world a better place. But now to finish with a quote. "On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, when the guns fell silent, we will remember." And Ripe stars, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that quote, but I suppose it's probably from a movie or something. If you know more, please let me know in the comments. Also, I gotta say, that barista was really a badass. I would definitely shake this barista's hand. The next stories, just to inform you why they will sound a little bit different, were recorded a while ago. However, they should still be fresh and new to you. These are not reposts or anything. New temp employees kicked me out of the office. They did not realize I am the owner of the company. My company had a huge project and we were not hitting the milestones that we thought we would. Due to wanting to get the thing done on time without overworking the team, we decided to hire a team of 2 temporary workers that would come and help with the work. One was supposedly an engineer and the other one was a coder. We thought the 2 would be really helpful and we could get the project up and running on time and avoid any issues. I was overseas when they were hired, but I trusted my manager to do the hiring, and even after I got back and looked at the files, I agreed that on paper these 2 seemed like the best choice. And by the way guys, remember that the OP who is writing this story is actually the owner of the company. Anyway, My manager was actually out sick that day, but it was fine because my team knows how to work even if they don't have someone always overlooking what they do. An important note is that even though I am not at the office in the morning, I do have cameras for security that let me play everything back and let me know what was going on during the day after the fact. So the two guys arrived and meet the team normally before they start to just wander around for a while looking through everything. At one point they ask about manager and find out that he is not coming in because he is sick. Once they know it is just the team, their entire demeanor seems to change as they start to look over at the things my team is doing without actually lifting a finger. They start to joke and go on about how crappy this company is and how a project like this would take them half a day from start to finish. They seemed unable to stop bragging about other work that they have done for companies that I know are too big and powerful to need to hire temps for that level of work. They acted like total douchebags from all the footage that I saw, and at one point they both even went into my office. They started going through my desk and putting their feet up like they owned the place and thought they were better than me. That entire time they did not once lift a finger to do work on the project, and one of the team members even went up and asked when they were going to start doing the job they were hired for. One of them went on a tangent about how they couldn't do anything for this project because it was so stupid and never going to work anyway. The others started digging in on the team members about how they were so unqualified and one talk with manager and the two of them could replace the entire team permanently. Now I was just getting to the office at this point and I knew at the time none of what transpired before I got there. They had nobody keeping tabs on them all morning and would be long gone before any kind of video was checked. These two had a chance to work the rest of the day and get away with it. Instead, they decided they would continue thinking they were better than everyone else, including me. Now, I am not very formal and let all my employees call me by my first name. To the two temps when I walked in and everyone else on the team spoke to me like that, they probably assumed that I was a member of the team that had not shown up yet. They started jumping down my throat and not letting me get a single word in about how if the manager was here, he would probably let me have it for not showing up for work until the afternoon. I then tried to just go to my office to try and get some kind of idea of what was going on. However, these two guys blocked me and told me that they were told by the manager not to let anyone in his office. Then they told me they were firing me on his behalf because they were going to be hired full-time after today anyway for just being that good. They started pushing me out of the front door and towards the parking lot, still not shutting up for 2 seconds about how great they are and how I was fired and I should not even try to contact the manager again. It was not until security spoke up that they finally stopped talking and found out the truth. Security, is there a problem here? Temp, yeah, this employee is fired and we need him escorted off the premises right away because we feel it is too dangerous to let him stick around. Security, you want me to escort the owner of the company out of his own building? Temp, this is not the owner is manager's name. Me, actually, he is the manager and works under me. I had asked him to hire 2 temps to help work on the project. So how about instead of running your mouth, you run far away from my property before I ask security to literally throw you out. Plus, I will be telling the agency that we hired you two from about this entire incident. Temp, look, I mean, we were just messing around. We know that you're a really chill kind of guy and we were just playing around. You know how it is with a small team and the new guys coming in just trying to make a connection. Me, if they don't get off the property in the next 5 minutes, can you call the police and make sure that they are arrested for trespassing? Security, sure thing, boss. You just go back inside. I promise that they are not going to get through these doors again. They finally deflated and had the faces of someone who royally messed up something. They got in their car and drove away with their heads down and their mouth finally closed. Even without the tapes, my team told me what had happened and mainly the fact that the two of them did not do a single thing except insult them and the project. With the 2 temps doing nothing, they were further behind than I would have liked, but I understood that they all had a rough morning. I told them that we would do whatever we could today and I would personally stay late and try to finish off anything we couldn't. You can bet that that after seeing the video I sent proof to the agency just how those two acted, and I have a feeling they will not be getting any jobs that way again. So much for acting better than everyone else, only to end up not being able to get another job when they are exposed for being the worst kind of people. I'm not surprised they did not have a permanent position somewhere though, because I don't know anybody who would deal with them for more than half a day. And yeah, ripe stars, if you ever had to deal with awful co-workers and have some stories to share of your own, then please feel free to share these stories either in the comments or, which is much preferred, on r/ripe stories on Reddit, where you can post your own stories and there's a good chance I will read them in a video. And the next one is titled, "Just Doing My Job, Sir." I am working at a typical tech company and my official job is fairly simple, and I find that I have free time decently often. My unofficial extra jobs used to be monitoring the morale level in the office and doing things to bring up said morale, tech support on the computers in the office so IT does not have to deal with it, mostly because I am faster than they are at getting things going again, assuming the problem is not hardware related. And often enough helping out other departments when I have the time. So a promotion comes up, I apply for it, the boss gives it to someone who had only been hired a few months ago. I was annoyed by this because I'd been working there for much longer and my evaluations are always glowing. Another promotion comes up, I get denied again in favor of another person who has only been there for a few months. 3 more promotions come and go and my boss always gives the new people the promotions. At this point, several people who have been hired around the same time have all quit to seek opportunity elsewhere, and many of the people who got promoted also quit, because they used their promotion to get a better job elsewhere. Also, the boss likes to send an email with a BS can't denial letter with some official reason as to why you were not selected. I eventually decide to confront my boss about it, so I just bluntly ask, what am I doing wrong? Why are people who have been recently hired getting promotions over me? The boss could not answer. He stumbles and stutters for about 2 minutes, like the sniffling pencil neck he is, and eventually just blurts out, "Look, you don't have much experience in dealing with people below you, and I really need you to just do your job." Alright, as you wish. Now, anytime someone asks me if I can get their computer, monitor, printer, etc. working properly again, I tell them to ask tech support. My bi-weekly delivery is homemade confections has come to an end and I no longer lift a finger to help other departments even when I do have the extra time. Tech support can take a surprisingly long time to get around to our department. Something I could have done in 10 minutes, it will take them an hour or more. It's also a 3-person department in a fairly large office building. My boss pulls me into his office a while back and asks me if I have a problem. I told him I don't have a problem, and he then reminds me of all the things that I used to do that I suddenly don't do anymore, and then makes the mistake of asking me why I suddenly stopped. I told him that none of those were part of my job description and that I only did those things as a courtesy, but since he told me to just do my job and strongly hinted that I am to go no further in the company, I am going to just do what is part of my official job description from now on. He went from having a crap-eating smirk on his face, ready to tear into me for my sudden change in demeanor, to realizing that he cannot say a damn thing because he knows that he cannot order me to do anything outside of my official job description, and that he screwed himself and his entire department over by basically telling me to shut up and get back to work. And yeah, ripe stars, if you enjoy these malicious compliance stories, then please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, "Got punished for working too hard." I had many jobs throughout my life, however, midway through my career I found myself working for the most prominent private college in my state. I was in the IT department and was in charge of maintaining a few servers and all of the technology in the classrooms. Every summer we would receive our budget for the year, and the part of the budget I managed was spent mostly on upgrading the audio and video presentation systems in the classrooms, and most of that work had to take place during the summer. This is fine normally, but our college administration had created a ticking time bomb for me a few years before. They had decided to spend about $100,000 on a few classrooms, but did not allocate any money in our budget to replace that equipment when it would eventually fail. I had been there for 5 years, and now that equipment was starting to fail. Increasing our budget was not an option, despite faculty growing to depend on the equipment in these spaces. I was left to figure out how to make the same budget replace all of the equipment in those spaces, as well as the normal set of classrooms that would need to be upgraded elsewhere. Fine, I was up for the challenge. I had to simplify and purchase more value brand of equipment and do extra work to cut corners. A couple of weeks of shipping delays for the majority of the equipment saw me with roughly 1 month to rip out, replace, rewire and configure around 15 classrooms, as well as update and test all of the existing classrooms within about a month before the semester began. Realizing the amount of work ahead of me, I began working. I came in every day of the week for 28 days straight, working 8 to 10 hours to ensure that when the semester began, the professors would have working equipment. I was working on salary, so I did not have to clock in. This gave me the freedom of schedule to work as little or as much as required. I worked myself sick and was literally sick at the end of the 28 days. My supervisor was a guy we recently hired, let's call him Gus. Near the beginning of the semester, while testing equipment, I realized that the audio driver in a common model of computer we have in the classrooms was corrupted. Investigating it, I realized that the computer manufacturer had corrupted drivers on their web server where we downloaded it from. I asked my supervisor, who was in charge of managing the image deployment server, to rebuild the image with a non-corrupt version of the driver I had provided him. He said he would. I swing by the next day and ask him if he had completed the rebuild. He had not. I tell him I really need it as the semester loomed closer and closer, and he tells me he will work on it. Next day, nothing. Day after that, nothing. Finally, he figures it out and I continue my work. He must have not liked being pressured, and perhaps the perception that he was incompetent, must have gotten to him. He decides to power trip and call me into his office and ask why I was working so much. I explained the administrative oversight a few years prior, shipping delays, cheaper equipment, extra required work and his delaying of a working image. I tell him, look, I came in day after day after day asking for that rebuilt image. Each time I said day, I am poking my finger straight down on the edge of his desk enough that it makes a sound to emphasize that those delays hurt the work I was doing. He wanted to find some personal failing that he could pull out, some form of disciplinary action around. I gave him none. Eventually he ran out of ideas and I left his office, not thinking much of it. Gus, however, was a brown-noser of the highest order. He would follow our IT director like a puppy. He joined a band with my IT director, so my work situation was not exactly fair. The semester began and not a single issue in all of the classrooms was reported. I was proud of the work I was able to complete given the challenges. The second day of the semester, my IT director calls me into his office. There, Gus is sitting beside him and they both want to talk to me. I don't like the looks of this. My IT director starts asking me about why I was working so much. I explained to him, as I did Gus, the various factors that made this summer's work extra challenging, and this destroyed any valid criticism they could muster. Gus goes on to say that he innocently inquired about my work and that I became violent, talking about the gesture I made on his desk, illustrating his failure to do his work in a timely manner. I demonstrate exactly what I did on the IT director's desk to show how ridiculous the claim was. My IT director wanted to exert his authority and they would not stop until they had something to discipline me with. Nothing, I would say, would change the result. I was to be in trouble for whatever transgression they imagined up in this meeting. I make sure to point out how long it took Gus to do the small task that I depended on, knowing I could have completed it in about an hour. He was incompetent. My IT director then alludes to the fact that I should respect Gus more as he is my supervisor. Screw it, I think to myself. I then tell my director, it is as if Justin Bieber was trying to teach you about music theory. It is only going to piss you off. This sudden, sharp, and in my opinion hilarious comparison was too funny. Both Gus and my IT director immediately laughed their asses off, even though Gus was subject of this insult. Once they had stopped laughing, my IT director put on a more serious tone. He says that I could manage my time better despite the unique circumstances of this summer's work. His voice gets really soft and slow while he is talking to me now. This is a trick he forgot he told me that he uses in arguments to make the other person seem like they are out of control. It is condescending, as if spoken to as a child, and now he's using it on me. He tells me that he wants me to take some time management classes, also to take a couple of days off and think about it. I just want you to think about it. However, he is going to need my keys and badge. Cue malicious compliance. At this point he has provided me enough evidence that this is not a job I want to stay at. The absurdity of working so hard and for 28 days straight on salary with no extra pay and to be rewarded with a disciplinary action was just too much. That in that moment I had thought about it. Without saying anything, I handed over my badge. I took all of the many keys off my keyring and set them on his desk. I have thought about it. I tell him in the exact soft and condescending tone he used with me, and you can keep the keys and badge. I told him with the biggest wry smile on my face. I then walk to my office, he follows me, and I notice his eyes had become glassy, as if he was hurt by the situation unfolding before him. He expected me to capitulate and accept his punishment for a job well done. He kept saying, I just want you to think about it, with each time becoming increasingly desperate. And I kept repeating, I have thought about it. He disappears back to his office with his little minion Gus to discuss damage control. I quickly pen an email to all my other coworkers letting them know I was leaving and that I enjoyed working with them. I had to work quick as I knew they would shut down all my accounts very quickly. I packed up my personal effects and then left. Gus and my IT director offered to help me, trying to walk back the situation with some small gesture of goodwill. However, I was gone. I had been there for 5 years, but I was willing to walk away the moment he tried to treat me so poorly. I found out a little later that the week before I left, a programmer we hired left after he treated her poorly too. I was not aware of the reason she left when she did, but our office manager shared that she quit abruptly like me without anything lined up given his behavior. About a year later, I hear from the office manager that the IT director had left. The rumor is he was primarily working for another company while in his office at the college, effectively double dipping or making money for 2 jobs while only doing 1. He had been caught doing so and was warned by the administration to stop. He opted to leave instead of owning up to his own dubious behavior, and my only regret is that I did not leave that job sooner. Edit, many comments have mentioned that I did this to myself and I gave them free work, or that I should have not worked myself so hard. I chose to. That was never the issue. That my director discounted the challenges I faced and insisted that it was personal failing was beyond me. I never complained to my director or supervisor about the situation until they tried to discipline me and I had to unpack the circumstances for them. When I started the job, several rooms and event spaces were non-functional and had fallen into disrepair. Issues existed across all of the classrooms. I worked for 1.5 years to fix all of these issues and return them to working order. Once I had implemented more permanent fixes/solutions, we went from 4 to 5 reported issues a day to a few every couple of weeks. I eventually implemented turnkey automated systems that made my job very easy. At this point I started assisting Gus in the help desk. He was the help desk manager. I worked with him and another support coworker to push down help desk tickets. No one asked me to do this and I worked very well with them. I helped Gus with issues he could not fix and he was appreciative. This was not required of me, but I helped because I had locked down and automated all of my systems. However, Gus was lazy, took smoke breaks all day and made student workers who knew very little, but more than him, try to fix issues. I did not have a problem with him until I had to depend on him. Years of doing this work had shown me that addressing the issues while campus was empty took a lot less time, as I had to schedule my work around classes, etc. Though it was stressful fielding all of the complaints, and getting additional pressure from my director if classrooms were not working would be worse stress-wise. Once the semester began, I was fine. Had I remained, I would have taken time off and coasted through the semester like previous summers. All of that extra work would have been balanced by a lot of days where I took a more relaxed pace and worked no extra hours for months. Some comments mentioned that I should have used this as a feedback mechanism to management. That is a private sector mentality. Academia works through grants and endowments. Just as I had entered the college to find whole rooms offline, the administration would have let those rooms break down and let the faculty deal with it. I worked so hard because I cared about the work I did, the faculty I supported, and how that reflected on me. One last thing, when I started working there, I tried a more communicative relationship with my director. Eventually they got annoyed and left me with no direction. I had to determine my own projects and schedule unless something came down from administration that required our department. Directors in colleges are more focused on high visibility projects and padding their resumes. Attention is paid only when problems arise. Yeah guys, today I'm not quite finished with the recording, but as you can hear, someone I think is very hungry, right Disney? Right? I think Disney wanna someone wants to go to her room and eat. Snack. I really like how she knows to go to that room, you know. Really cute. Yeah, and what do we do now? I bet first need to scratch. Yeah, first we scratch, and we eat. Crunch, crunch. Oh, someone hungry, right? Alright, Disney. So soft. Disney, do you have any comments for the YouTube audience today? Or you have nothing? Disney. I think Disney has no life-changing motivational speeches to give today because she's hungry. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video today, and oh, Disney's already finished eating. I almost fell. Disney, or back to the food? Well, I guess maybe we need to give Disney some privacy, guys, so I will cut the video here, and I see you again. Well, I see you again tomorrow. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel, but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.